승선은 했거든요. 지금 시간 그래서 이제 우리가 출발하려면은 한 5분 내지 8분 더 있어야 됩니다. 아쉽게도 가이드에 중국, 일본은 있어도 한국은 없네요. 가이드 언어가. 여기다가 뭐 저기 이걸로 번호 조절하나 본데. 이쪽으로 지금 가면 역광이고 뒤로 가면 제대로 조명 받고 있는데 맨 뒤에 앉을까요? 자, 배 출항합니다.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need your full attention because your safety is our first priority. Today we will be sailing under a lot of bridges, and these bridges can be very, very low. It is therefore very important that you stay seated while under these bridges. Please do not try and touch said bridges. You are not allowed to smoke on board this boat. Cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or vapes. You have life jackets under each of your seats, and I have a yellow line in front of me. You cannot cross that yellow line at any point as it can block the view of our captain. I'm going to do this in Danish as well. Mine damer og herrer, I skal lytte godt efter nu, fordi jeg er sikker på vores første prioritet. Vi kommer i dag til at søge under mange broer, de her broer er meget lave, det er derfor meget vigtigt, at I bliver siddende under broerne, ikke på at røre ved broerne. Der er redningsvester under jeres sæder, det er ikke til at ryge cigaretter eller vape på bord på denne båd. Jeg har en god lille foran mig, den må ikke krydse på noget som helst tidspunkt, da det kan blokere udsyn for vores kontakt. Så skal jeg lige høre, fordi jeg har to ture. En tur, hvor jeg snakker kun engelsk, hvor vi får rigtig meget med, eller en tur, hvor jeg snakker dansk og engelsk, hvor vi får markant mindre med. Og er der nogen, der drager fordel af, at vi tager dem på dansk? Og så må jeg gerne tage hånden op nu. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that means we will be doing this tour in English and in Danish. How are y'all feeling on this boat? Alright, that's good to hear. Me too. My name is Peter. I will be your guide. Our captain today is Moema, so everybody say hi, Moema. Alright, on your right you see Christiansborg. Christiansborg is now our parliament building. It did not always used to be a parliament building. This used to be where the king and queen lived. But their castle or their palace burned down in the late 1700s, so this is now the parliament building. I will be be back at that when we later on the tour. We also have the first bridge coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So everybody, please stay seated. Og til alle danskerne, det vi har til højre er Folketinget, Folketingsbygningen, vores parlament. Det plejer at være der, hvor kongen og dronningen boede. Men det brændte ned i slutningen af 1700-tallet, deres slot, som var bygget i stedet for et nyt slot.
Så 일어서면 머리 다칠 수도 있어요.
Folketinget. Det er Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start this on a sad note, because if you look up your right, you see the old stock exchange that unfortunately burned down a couple of weeks ago. This was a 400-year-old building that was built by King Christian IV, the king you'll hear very much about on this tour. This, when it was built, and later, became known as the building that could not burn, which is very awkward now. It was known as the building that could not burn because it had a dragon spire on it that were to protect it from fires. And throughout history, for the 400 years that it was here, everything on this island has burned down at least once. Christiansborg, the palace right there, has burned down twice, but never the old stock exchange. That changed a couple of weeks ago. Luckily, nobody got injured, but it still hurt a lot of people's hearts. A lot of people had this very close to their heart. It was a landmark not only in Copenhagen, but in the entire Denmark. This island nu forbi Børsen er et 400 år gammel bygning, som er en af Christians bygninger. Dengang det brændte ned, eller dengang det blev bygget, var det kendt som bygning, der ikke kunne brænde, hvis jeg er meget ærgerligt nu, fordi den brændte jo så ned. Det var kendt for, at så ikke at brænde, fordi den var der
고르센은 공사 중.
beskyttet for ildebrand.
옛날에
Det
증권
virkede ikke som brændt ned alligevel. Heldigvis kom ingen til skade under branden, men det gjorde stadig ondt på mange mennesker, fordi at mange havde det her med der bygning tæt på hjertet. Vi har også endnu en bro foran os. We have another bridge coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Liner note. If you look to your left, you'll see the National Bank of Denmark, which opened it, or was built in 1960s and 70s, designed by the world-famous Danish designer Arne Jacobsen. If you ever heard the term or phrase, Danish design, he is one of the main reasons we have that. Not only very good, but very successful in and out of this country. He did everything on the exterior, and everything, and I mean everything on the interior, from the wallpaper to the desk to the pencil sharpeners. He had a hand on everything inside this building. Unfortunately, he died 7 years before it was built. så vi nemt kan se det. Vi har her på venstre side Nationalbanken i Danmark. Nationalbanken blev bygget i 1960'erne og 1970'erne, designet af den verdenskendte danske designer Arne Jacobsen. Han designer alt ud på og alt ind i. Og når jeg siger alt, så mener jeg alt interiøret. Fra skrivebordene til skraldespandene til blyantspidserne. Han har en hånd på alt ind i den her bygning. Desværre så døde han 7 år før den blev færdig, så han kom ikke til at se den. Men vi ser den hver dag. Men kun udefra. Ikke indefra, fordi man må ikke besøge Nationalbanken indeni. Vi har også et endnu bro foran. So we have another bridge coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
여러분들이 이 영상으로나마 같이 승선하시고
Ladies and gentlemen, you remember when I told you that the king of Greece used to live in this house we saw when we bought it?
설명하는 가이드의
Well,
말을
the king used to have
알아서
his window
들어보세요.
pointed in this direction. So what you see right now was his view in the 1700s. And he told the architects who built all these buildings that he wanted the best view in Denmark, a view fitted for the king. And they listened. Look, for example, at that white building right there. That is beautiful for what it is. This is just a plain warehouse. Doesn't have to be symmetrical with these big green gates at the bottom. But you know how building building? See if you can spot the subtle difference in the story. Hvis han nu væk fra København, vi nu skal have København og hvad det er vores kongebord, og kongebord er en trække den her række. Så han sagde til alle, at jeg vil have den bedste udsigt i verden, og han fik det. Det er bare et pakhus, et gammelt varehus. Det behøver ikke være så smukt, men mens han kommer over til den anden side af den her bygning, så kan I se, at der faktisk er en lille hemmelighed gennem det. Alright, the other side of the story, ladies and gentlemen. Subtle, very subtle difference. So, to cut the cost, the designer, Eichel, did something pretty for the king and something shitty for the rest of us. I like to imagine that this way is pointing to Sweden. It is not Sweden. On your far left hand side, the green building coming out, that is the old customs house here in Copenhagen. We used to have a lot of industrial harbor. This is where they would declare their goods, in here. In the green building. Then we moved the industrial harbor out. Then we turned this into a ferry terminal for the ferry to Sweden. Sweden only being a 30-minute drive away from Copenhagen. And you hear how I say drive. That's because we built a tunnel, Sweden built a bridge, and you could just drive to Sweden. We didn't really need a ferry anymore. So this is now the Soho Club, a private club for the self-employed. If you have a CPR number, you can go visit the Soho Club. Her til venstre, der har vi det gamle tøjkammer. Dengang vi havde meget industrihavn herinde i havnen i Inderhavn, der var det her, at de ville komme med deres varer og fortælle, hvad de havde med. Så rykkede vi industrihavnen ud, og det her blev så til færgeterminalen, til færge til Sverige. Jeg skal nok pege i den retning, hvor det ligger, hvis I har brug for det. Til venstre har vi også skuespillerhuset, der åbnede 2008 til skuespillerhamlet, som jo selvfølgelig finder sted i Danmark. Hamlet er en dansk mand, han bor kun 40 km nord fra København i smukke Helsingør, og man kan besøge hans slot faktisk. Det hedder Kronborg. Så hvis man gerne vil lære mere om Hamlet, hvis man gerne vil lære mere om Danmarks historie, for der bor mange danske konger i Kronborg, så kan man tage til Helsingør. On your left hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Royal Playhouse, which opened in 2008, not to a Danish play, but to the Shakespeare play Hamlet. Now, do we have any Shakespeare fans on the boat? We do. Then you, madam, will know why Hamlet was a perfect play to open in Denmark. Let me hear. Because it was set in Denmark, exactly. Hamlet being a Danish crown prince. He lives just 40 kilometers north from Copenhagen in a beautiful town called Elsinore and a castle called København, which you can visit. Only a 30-minute train ride away from Copenhagen. The train will almost take you directly to the castle. It is stunning. And it packs a lot of history, both fictional but also real history. Now on your right hand side, we are about to sail through 5 man-made islands here that we call Holmen. We built these islands in the middle and the late 1600s and the early 1700s to get all of the wooden boats away from the inner harbor and canals. Because, I don't know if you know this, but Copenhagen has burned down a lot throughout the years. You saw that earlier with the stock exchange, but also massive fires that wiped out almost the entire city. So, to combat all of these wooden ships that we have inside the inner harbor, there were massive fire hazards. We have these islands that we're about to sail through, built just like the wooden ships of this one. It's called Paper Island. This is where we stored our cannons and cannonballs and gunpowder. Basically anything to kill another person was stored in here. So then we became friendly and lovely and peaceful. Didn't need that stuff anymore. So this is where we stored paper for our newspaper. Hence Paper Island. Nobody reads newspaper anymore, so this is where you find the most expensive apartment in Copenhagen. 72 million, approximately 10 million euros. If you have that kind of money, you can live here in an apartment, not in a mansion, but in an apartment. Vi sejler nu forbi papirøen 1 ud af 5. menneskeskabt jøger, der hedder Holmen, som vi kalder Holmen. Menneskeskabt jøger for på alle de store træskibe, som flåden havde ud af København og kanalerne og bygge dem her i sætte dem her i stedet for. Den ø, vi har til her til højre hedder Papirøen, fordi det var den første bygfra her, hvor vi havde kanoner, kanonskydler og pistoler. Alt, der kunne bruges til at være ond mod fjenden her vi af. Men så blev vi fredelige og vigtige, og så var det her, hvor vi lavede papir til vores avispapir. Det er derfor, vi kalder Papirøen. Men der er ikke nogen, der læser aviser mere, så det er derfor her, hvor man finder den dyreste lejlighed i København. Det koster 72 millioner. Det er mange ting. Vi er også på vej i den første stillezone, så når vi kommer forbi den her bro, så er jeg stille i et stykke tid. We're also about to enter our first of 2 silent zones on the other side of this bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be quiet. You can enjoy the peace and quiet. But first we have the bridge. Thank you.
은근히 멋진데. 시원해요, 시원. 지금 계속 왔던 길인데 엄청 시원해요. 그래서 다른 말이 필요 없습니다. 여기서 이렇게 수영하고 수영 즐기는 사람들도 있네. 그 비엔나의 도나우강 가도 저렇게 다 일광욕 즐기고 있는데 여기도 그럽니다. 저기서 수영하고.
Navy in all of these islands used to belong to the Navy. In the Cold War, we built this. This is called the
저기도
torpedo hall. The torpedo hall. This is where we stored and built our torpedo boats, which is why you can send the Navy into the middle of it. But then we moved the Navy out of Copenhagen.
저기다 배 대고
Instead of tearing it down, we
들어갈 수 있는 구조로 만든 그런
built
집이.
some apartments here. Instead of that is something we love to do here in Copenhagen. Instead of when we have an old building, we don't use it anymore. Instead of just tearing it down, we love to recycle it, use it for something else. Usually it's offices, but in this instance it was apartments. Very expensive, but very beautiful apartments. Vi sejlede nu forbi torpedohallen. Dengang vi havde koldt krig, der byggede vi den her torpedohal for at opbevare vores torpedobåde herinde. Men så flyttede vi flåden ud til andre byer, Korsør og Frederikshavn, og vi havde ikke brug for en torpedohandel. I stedet for at lave den ned, så byggede vi der om til lejligheder. Det er også noget, vi har gjort her til venstre, hvor vi har kanonbådskurene. Det er ikke bygget om til lejligheder, men til kontorer og udstillingshaller. Kanonbådskurene var her, hvor vi opbevarede vores kanonbåde. Kanonbåde er et skib på den her, eller båd på den her størrelse, ubåd på den her størrelse, med en kanon i hver ende. Vi byggede de her kanonbåde væk fra vores fjender, fordi at vi tabte Englandskrigen til Horatio Nelson, Admiral Nelson. Han tog hele vores flåde, vi måtte ikke genopbygge den, men vi blev nødt til at gøre det. Så det vi gjorde, det var, at vi byggede de her skure for at skjule for vores fjende, at vi stadig havde en flåde. Alright, if you need another example in us with a climbing wall on the side, the biggest climbing wall in Europe, with hiking paths on it, with a bar on the top, and you know how famous there are no mountains in Denmark. We're a very flat country. Well, Jørgen's body would treat us to a ski slope. So even though we have no mountains here in Copenhagen, you can still ski down the side of the Copenhagen Hill. Now it's not a very far trip, but it is a trip indeed, and we'll take what we can get. Vi sejler nu forbi på jeres højre side Amager Bakke. Det er den her bygning med en skorsten. Det ligner, at der kommer røg ud af skorstenen, men det er faktisk damp, fordi det er en af de grønneste og største forbrændingsanlæg. Det her, hvor vi brænder affald af og laver det om til energi, til lejligheder. Mere end 80.000 lejligheder for energi fra det her forbrændingsanlæg. Det blev designet af Bjarke Engels og hans Bjarke Engels Group, og Bjarke Engels er et stort arkitektnavn i Danmark, så han vil ikke bare bygge det her som en grå boks med en skorsten på, så han byggede det her med en stor klatrevæg på, den største i Europa. Han byggede den med barer og caféer, han byggede den med en gangsti, så man kan gå op, og så byggede han faktisk også med en skibakke, så man kan faktisk stå på ski ned af Amager Bakke. Det er ikke en særlig lang tur, men det er en tur op ad trappen. So I have another bridge coming up, ladies and gentlemen. endnu en bro for. Ikke? What you see on the right hand side, that's what's left of the Navy here at Holmen. All of these items that you just sailed through used to belong to the Navy. Now it's only what we have on your right hand side right here. Til højre her er hvad der er tilbage af flåden her på Holmen. Alle de her øer vi sejlede igennem tilhørte engang flåden, men nu er det kun hvad vi har her på højre side. Når vi kommer forbi det her, den her husbåd skal kigge til venstre, hvor I ser operahuset. Operahuset som åbnede i 2005, designet af den danske arkitekt Henrik Larsen. Der er 3 kæmpe lysestager i vinduet, som er designet over for Eliasson. De er vildt smukke om aftenen, så vi ser tit over at kigge på de her, når de lyser op. Det er ufatteligt smukt. Der er også et auditorium inde i min, med 14 etager, 5 af de etager er under havets overflade.
지금 배가 아니라 집이라 집이요.
Man kan selvfølgelig ikke slå fisk, når man gør det. Men man kan stadig fortælle sine venner, at man har gjort det. On the left hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing the Opera House of Copenhagen, Denmark. The Opera House opened in 2005, designed by the world famous Danish architect Henrik Larsen. It features 3 massive chandeliers in the window. 3 massive chandeliers. You'll get to see them when we get on the other side. And we'll find it out then. 3 massive chandeliers. If you have the time, walk over on the other side and look over at the opera. It is beautiful when it gets dark. Beautiful when it gets dark. It also features a massive auditorium with 14 stories. 9 of these stories, ladies and gentlemen, are under the sea, which means you can watch the opera at the Danish Opera House under the sea. Now you won't be able to see any fish, of course you won't. But what you can do is you can watch the opera under the sea and you can enjoy it, of course. And you can go home and you can tell your friends, I love my stay in Copenhagen. I even watch the opera under the sea, and they will not believe you because that's gibberish. But then they will have to Google it, right? And they will find out that you can in fact watch opera under the sea in Denmark. And they will believe everything that you tell them from that point on about your trip to Copenhagen. So that is something that you can do. På den anden side af den kugle, vi skal her, har vi hvad der er tilbage af floden herude i vandet på Holmen. Og det er både sandt, men det er også fast, fordi den ubåd, vi ser ved kajen lige der, er en ubåd, der hedder Sælen, som nu er et museum. Den blev sidst brugt i 2003 under Irak-krig. Og Irak-krig var en ørkenkrig, så vi kæmpede lidt i ørken. Og så sendte vi vores allierede en ubåd. Everything that we have behind this yellow line right here is what we have of the Navy at Holmen. So everything behind this yellow line is still a military area. That's kind of true, but also kind of a lie, because that black submarine that you see right there, that is the submarine called the Steel, which was latest used in 2003 during the Iraq War, which is very famously a desert war, right? So our allies were fighting in the middle of the desert, and what did Denmark send them? We sent them a submarine! Now there is more to the story. There's water around Iraq. There are rivers in Iraq. It made sense to send a submarine. It navigated these shallow waters very well. It was close by. It navigated well. It was a success story. But nobody can take away from the country of Denmark that we would want to send a submarine to a desert war. That will always be us. It is now a museum. So if you wonder what it's like to be inside a submarine, you can visit. If you're as tall as me, I would not recommend it. It is incredibly claustrophobic. And there is no. But you still can, and while you do, you can also visit this big boat coming up right here. That is the frigate called Maersk. This was our flagship during the Cold War. So it would patrol the borders of Denmark during the Cold War. It is more famous for, however, in 1982, while on a drill on the coast of Denmark, because of a technical error, it accidentally launched a ballistic missile into Denmark. And this ballistic missile actually hit a vacation home area, including Bergen, where 150 vacation homes. What is known today as the Whoopsie missile incident. Når I besøger Sælen, kan I også besøge fregatten Skram, som var vores flagskib under den kolde krig. Den er dog mere kendt for i 1982, mens den var på øvelse på kysten af Sjællandsøjet, så kunne der teknisk fejl affyret et ballistisk missil, der fløj ind i et sommerhusområde og ødelagde 150 sommerhus, hvad der i dag er kendt som også. Bag ved fregatten Skram, to gange om dagen, en gang til torsdag, en gang til which automated great. Men så nogle gange er det lidt historisk, så er det måske lidt starten så kan være rigtig, rigtig tidligt i Danmark, og naboerne kunne ikke lide at blive vækket så tidligt om morgenen af kanoner. Så en aftale blev gjort, og det er derfor, at vi hver dag har en solopgang kl. 8 her i Danmark. On your right hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we have battery 60s. The battery 60s that you can see have these cannons outside. These cannons are actually fired from twice a day. Once to mark sunrise and once to mark sunset. When the sun sets, they will automatically go off, right? Makes sense. That they will go off. Sunrise is a different story, however. The sunrise is as early as 4:30 in the morning. And the neighbors of battery 60s did not like to be woken up at 4:30 in the morning by cannons. So an agreement was made, which is why every day at 8 o'clock we have sunrise here in Denmark, officially. On your right hand side you'll see Vefsjælland Island. This used to be one of the biggest workplaces in all of Denmark. Over 10,000 people used to work at the shipyard that was right here. This shipyard closed down in 1996 and opened to the public, which is very, very good because it became one of the biggest recreational zones in all of Denmark, where you find street food markets, breweries, climbing festivals, contemporary music, and more importantly, in that big grey hole right there, ladies and gentlemen, is where we, the country of Denmark, in 2014, hosted the Eurovision! Alright, we do have some Eurovision time, also alright. It was on this Saturday, it's good to watch. Denmark, the country of Denmark, is terrible at Eurovision. We usually go out to the semi-finals, we will probably never get to host again. However, this year, the Eurovision was hosted in Malmö, only a 30-minute drive away from Copenhagen, and between the European ladies and gentlemen, Malmö used to belong to Denmark. It used to be a part of Denmark. So, if it was 500 years earlier, Denmark would have hosted the Eurovision this year. And we'll take what we can get. Vi sejler nu forbi væk fra Refshaløen. Refshaløen var de største arbejdspladser i Danmark. Over 10.000 mennesker arbejder med det skibsværft, der lå her. Nu her, hvor vi bygger skibe. Det lukkede i 1996, der åbnede for offentlighed. Det er der, hvor man nu kan finde street food markedet, hvor madmarkedet, store bryggerier, klatrevægge, festivaler, og i det store gårdhal, hvor i 2014 afholdte melodikonkurrencen. Det var det melodikonkurrencen, hvor du kigger først. Med skibet. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to fetch your cameras, get them hot and ready, because coming up on your right hand side soon, we have the most photographed woman / fish in the entire world, based on the fairy tales of one Mr. Hans Christian Andersen, or some Disney movies. Hans Christian Andersen did it first. It is, of course, our lovely Little Mermaid. Mine damer og herrer, på højre side, den lille havfru.
그 인어공주 동상이 인어공주.
Was watching the ballet, The Little Mermaid, and he absolutely loved it. And the reason why he
인어공주 동상. 리하운이 근처에.
the most beautiful woman in all of Denmark. So he asked Ellen Price. Oh, sorry, he asked Edward Erickson, who was a sculptor, if he wanted to do a sculpture of Ellen Price after the Little Mermaid. And Edward Erickson, the sculptor, said, of course I'm going to thank you. So Edward Erickson then asked Ellen Price, the ballerina, if she wanted to be his artist, and she said, because she wasn't fancy from the dance to come to Denmark. Vi har også her til højre den bløde, og i smukke blå øjne, det er udgangspunkt for Maersk. Maersk er den største firma i verden, og de største firma i Danmark. Og så hvis du går til bådens aktivitet, der bruger på hjælp på den side, så kig på stillaset deroppe, hvor I ser en smukke blå farve med en sydfarve stjerne. Den blå farve er en farve, som faktisk ejer den farve, der er Maersk blå. Så man skal bare lovligt med at bruge den her farve. Den sydfarve stjerne er den 7 verdenshave, men det bliver måske Maersk. On your right hand side, you'll see on headquarters of Maersk Shipping Company, one of the biggest shipping companies in the world, one of the biggest companies in Denmark. If you ever seen a blue shipping boat or shipping container, you've seen a Maersk shipping boat or container. It's these in Copenhavn, they look no further than on the Skandinabian, where you see that beautiful blue color. It is stunning. This is Maersk blue, so if you ever want to use this color, you have to ask for permission, and you have to pay a lot of money. 7-pointed stars are local, represents the richest of the world, and that's why you find them. On the right-hand side of chapter 8, we used to be a colonial country of a lot of colonies around the world. These 3 countries are the warehouses where we used to store the goods. The first one, where we used to store the goods from the West Indies, are part of the US Netherlands. The second one, where we used to store the goods from Greenland. And the third one is where we used to store the goods from the Gulf Coast of Africa. Now, de her 3 huse til højre er der, hvor vi plejer at opbevare de ting, vi har med på vores kolonier rundt omkring i verden. Så første er der, hvor vi plejer ting fra dansk bestemte. Det næste er, hvor vi plejer ting fra Grønland, og det tredje er, hvor vi plejer ting fra Sydkysten af Afrika og København. Now you may be wondering, Peter, you have the oldest monarchy in the world. Right? Question, you have the oldest monarchy in the world. Well, how does the king and queen of the oldest monarchy in the world live? Well, look no further than on your right hand side where you find a maiden palace. Now you probably remember when I told you that the king did not always used to live here. They used to live at the castle we saw when we bought it the boat. Well, that burned down in the late 1700s and this opened instead. Sorry, and all of the family lived in here. And they gracefully offered to move out so the royal family can move in and have a place to stay. And they loved it so much, the royal family, that they have stayed ever since. The building with the 4 chimneys is where our current king, King Frederick X and his Queen Mary lives. The building with the 5 chimneys is where our former monarch, Queen Margaret II, lives. In the middle of it all, we have the Marble Church, which is a beautiful church and it's open to the public. As promised, on your left-hand side, you'll see the opera as well. Mine damer og herrer, vi er her på højre side af Malienborg. Malienborg er der, hvor kongen og dronningen bor. Det plejede at være her, hvor der boede 4 adelige familier, men kongen og dronningen slot brændte ned i slutningen af 1700-tallet, og de mangler desperat et sted at bo. Heldigvis så boede der 4 adelige familier herinde, som der tilbød at flytte ud, så kongefamilien kunne flytte ind i stedet for. Det var det, de gjorde, og de kunne lide det så meget, at de besluttede sig for at blive. Kong Frederik og dronning Mary bor i slottet, eller bygningen med 4 skorstene. Dronning Margrethe bor i bygningen med 5 skorstene, og i midten af det hele har vi Marmorkirken, der har den største kuppel i Skandinavien. Now, in Danish history, unofficially however, it is a king who ruled in the 1500s for nearly 6 years, called King Christian IV. And he was an incredibly polarizing king because on one hand he took Copenhagen and turned it from a not very modern medieval city, turned it into a beautiful Renaissance city with a lot of art and culture and a lot of beautiful buildings. So for example, the Round Tower and the church that belongs to the Round Tower, that's him. The Rosenborg Palace and the Royal Garden, that's him. The old stock exchange that burned down, that was also him. The Citadel, that was also him. A lot of beautiful things. Well, on the other hand, he was very polarizing because he loved to spend money. He loved to spend money, of course, on set buildings. They were not cheap. He loved to spend money as well on himself. He had the most expensive coronation in European history. And det var en rigtig dum idé, fordi hvor familien flyttede til sådan et fattigt land, når de selv boede i det rige Holland. Så det her var en kæmpe fiasko frem til 1970'erne, da hippierne flyttede ind. Det kan man for eksempel finde i Christiania. Så hippierne flyttede ind, og det blev super mærkeligt derinde, og der tænkte man... But as of now, enjoy the silence. And enjoy beautiful Christian house. Now please sit down. Thank you.
안주라고 하죠. 다리 통과하니까 일어서면은 머리 부딪힐까봐. 와, 이제 여기부터 리어온 같은데. 완전 여기도 동화 속 마을 같죠? 그단스코틱한 느낌도 나고.
But I can hear, you know.
이것이 여유이자 낭만인가 봅니다. 이런 배경 음미하면서. 엄청 예뻐요. 그리고
What caused the fire on the stock exchange?
The stock exchange, we don't know yet. But do believe that it was the scaffolding. It was due to be renovated. So the same as
So that's by accident. Okay.
yeah, no accident.
Yeah. Thanks.
어때요? 시원합니다. 아주 좋아. 저 앞에 가는 카누는 막 쫓겨가는 것 같네요. 배경이 다 예쁘죠?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bridge coming. When we get on the other side of the bridge, we have to look to the left where you see the Church of Our Savior with its iconic spiraling spire. 402 steps up, it's open to the public. You have to pay a fee, and then you'll get. That's for the people in the middle. On the left, the Church of Our Savior.
옆에 뭐가 있길래 이렇게 사진 찍을까?
And to the people in the back, on your right, nothing. But on your left,
아, 저기. 저쪽에는 성당에서 총소리 나죠?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, in front of us we have the lowest bridge in the entire tour, so everybody please stay seated. Please do not try to touch this bridge. Det er meget foran os, den laveste bord på turen. Der vælger vi siddende og ikke prøve at være rørt på broen. Thank you.
여기야말로 뭐 베니스가 따로 없네.
And talk to another person crossing the bridge instead of just crossing. Something that we don't do a lot of here in Denmark, and something that I can tell you does not work. I have never seen two people stop and talk on this bridge. It is a young bridge, so let's give it the benefit of the doubt. It is a bridge, so everybody please stay seated. Vi sejler lige om lidt under cirkelbroen. Vi sejler broen på et så det er lavet ind i de her cirkelformer, som er skabt til at opfordre danskerne til at stoppe op og tale med et andet menneske, i stedet for bare at krydse. Noget, som vi ikke gør særlig meget her i Danmark, og noget, som jeg kan fortælle jer, ikke virker. Jeg har aldrig set to mennesker stå og snakke sammen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, if you look straight ahead and soon on your right, you'll see a part of the Royal Library that we call the Black Diamond. We call it the Black Diamond because the building itself tilts 7 degrees over the water. So, when the sun hits the water, morning sun hits the water, it is reflected back into the building, which makes this building glisten like a diamond. So if you have the time, stand over at the circumference and look over here at 10 o'clock tomorrow approximately. Talk to a stranger over there, look over here, and you'll see it glisten. Vi har her den sorte diamant, hedder den sorte diamant, fordi at bygningen tilter 7 grader over hver havets overflade. Så når solen rammer vandet, morgensolen rammer vandet, så er det reflekteret tilbage i bygningen, hvilket får bygningen til at glimre ligesom en sort diamant. I jeres fjerne højre kan I se Flaks. Flaks, som er designet af et hollandsk arkitektfirma, som tog til inspiration for 2 ting, som København er. Danmark er meget, meget kendt for. Containers og selvfølgelig Lego. Det er Lego-huset i København. Man finder ikke nogen Legoer indenfor, men hvis man kigger på det, så kan man godt se, at det ligner et Lego-blok. On your right hand side, you'll see blocks. Blocks was made by a Dutch architectural firm. We took inspiration from 2 things that Denmark is very, very famous for. One being containers. You already heard about Maersk. The other one, I don't know if you can guess it. It's called blocks. It is, of course, Lego. This is the Lego house of Copenhagen. Now you won't be able to find any Legos inside. You'll find the Danish Architecture Center instead. However, if you look at it from the outside, it kind of looks like Lego blocks, kind of. We're also about to approach Frederiksholms Canal. This is also the place we started, so everybody, please stay seated throughout this canal tour. Vi sejler også nu ind i Frederiksholms Kanal. Hjemmested til mange brugere, så alle bliver siddende under den her kanaltur. Alright, the first 2 bridges are coming up consecutively right here. First one and then the second one straight after. Vi har 2 broer her. Første her, og så den anden bag. So everybody, please stay seated. Thank you. While we're between these 2 bridges, feast your eyes on this magnificent red building on your right hand side. I will talk more about it on the other side of the next bridge. Keep godt på den her røde bygning, som jeg vil tale med på den anden side af næste bro. Thank you. Because other than containers and Lego, what is Denmark very, very famous for? It's not pastries, but it is, of course, beer. This is King Christian IV's brewhouse. King Christian IV, the same king I told you a lot about before going into Christianshavn. When he was a king, we had no sewage in Copenhagen, so if you drank the water, not only did it taste bad, you could literally die. What do Danes do when they cannot drink water? Well, they drink beer. They also drink beer when they can't drink water. That's another story. So, this is where we got our beer from when he was a king, King Christian IV. So, if you were employed by King Christian IV, either in his court or as a soldier. Thank you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, in front of you we have your final and biggest exam. Because you've been very good at sitting down, but now you have to sit down and you have to keep everything inside the boat, because we have the storm bridge coming up, an incredibly low and incredibly narrow bridge, which is why stay seated, need to keep everything inside the boat, your arms, your legs, your head, everything needs to be kept inside the boat. Alright. I damer og herrer, vi kommer nu til stormbroen. Stormbroen er både meget, meget lav og utrolig smal, så det er her, hvor I skal holde alt indenbords og blive siddende. I må ikke røre ved denne her bro. Alright, looks like everything is inside the boat, so we are going into the storm bridge. Nice, right? Okay, I have 2 questions for you guys now. The first one, do you guys like museums? Yes. I need some enthusiasm on the next one. Do you guys like free stuff? Alright, everybody does. Then look no further than on your right hand side, the big yellow building coming up. That's a building that combines both of these things that you love so much. It's Bertel Thorvaldsen's museum, named after Bertel Thorvaldsen, and exhibiting his beautiful art. He was a Danish sculptor, one of our most famous artists in history. He did his art in the 1700s and 1800s. He wanted to be the best sculptor in the world, so he traveled to Italy to learn from the best. And ladies and gentlemen, he achieved it. He became at least one of the best, and that is not something I say because I'm a Danish person who wants to give another Danish person credit. No, he became one of the best because not only is he an honorary citizen in the city of Rome, Danish kroner, that's a fine deal if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen. Vi har her Thorvaldsens Museum, opkaldt efter Bertel Thorvaldsen. Bertel Thorvaldsen var en af vores største skulptører, vores største kunstner i Danmarks historie. Han ville være den bedste i hele verden, så han rejste til Italien for at lære af de bedste, og han blev en af de bedste. Fordi ikke nok med, at han er en æresborger i Rom, han er også den eneste ikke-italiener, der har udstillet Vatikanstaten, og så skal man være virkelig, virkelig god I kan finde ud af, hvor god man skal være. Om onsdagen, og det her museum er gratis, og det er gratis, fordi da han døde, der donerede han sin kunst til borgerne i København. Ikke til kongen, men til borgerne. Og det gjorde, at det var det første offentlige museum i Danmarks historie. Han donerede også sin krop, fordi han er begravet i midten af museet, så man kan faktisk se hans kunst, og man kan se hans grav, og man kan have det rigtig godt om onsdagen, hvor det er fuldstændig gratis, så man behøver slet ikke at betale en krone for det. Det er rigtig god. Godt tilbud, hvis I spørger mig. We also have the final bridge coming up, so for one last time, join me in the act of sitting down and not touching the bridge. Thank you.
아까 탔던 그 중점으로 왔어요. 승선했던 곳으로 한 바퀴 돌아왔어요.
Let's give it some delay.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the tour is unfortunately coming to an end. Oh no, I hear you say. You too, guys. You've been a lot of fun. There's one thing we need to do, and that's to give a massive round of applause for one last time for the woman who brought us safely back. So for one last time, give it up for Kapta. Alright, after you guys Peter, I have 3 things I have to tell you. Number 1, remember all of your belongings when you leave the boat. Number 2, please don't leave the boat until we are tied safely out to the shore. Number 3, this is most important. Remember.
제가 지금 유람선을 1시간 정도 타고 왔거든요. 지금 다시 탄 데서 내렸는데 말 그대로 지금 코펜하겐은 발트해에 있는 섬 반 육지 반인 거죠. 지금 제가 이 배 타고 다녔던 이 까날들 비롯해서 저쪽 넓은 물 있는 데 간데 다 바다예요. 이거 강이 아니고 바다. 바다 주변에 이런 시설과 집 그리고 뭐 궁전 이게 만들어진 건데 뭐 말 그대로 베니스가 따로 없다고 할 테지만 베니스는 좀 그 민물인 것 같고 여기는 바닷물이 맞아요. 자, 그럼 지금 바로 건너편에 가면은 크리스티안보르 궁전이 있거든요. 저를 건너가 보겠습니다. 배 타고 다니면서 머리 다 날려버렸죠.